ever used in your life? Anybody of you? What is the most riskiest thing you have ever used in your life? Daily life. Knife? What else? Fire? What else? I will tell you what is the riskiest thing we use in our life. Riskiest is electricity. The electricity is the riskiest thing we use in our life. Every day, every moment, every second. Light, heating, water, entertainment, communication, all of our mobile phones will go dead without electricity. Everything happens with electricity. Everything. But then why? Why we use it every day when you know? Because electricity is never going to forgive you. You touch it with your bare foot, you're gone. Have I ever seen a family disconnecting the electricity connection from their home in case somebody gets a shock? Have you ever seen? My mother got electric shock some 30 years back, but we never disconnected electricity. Have you ever blamed electricity for that? Have you ever blamed, no, my state electricity board is not giving us good quality of power, that's why we got a shock? Have you ever seen or ever heard that kind of statements? So what happens? What people start doing after that? They put conduits and fuse and MCBs and all the kind of things. So why it does not give us shock every day? Because we have learned the art of using it. So we use it every time, every day, every second, but we have learned the art of using it. Same goes for electricity. The moment we go and touch it, we go and it gives us a shock to our investors. Sometimes they go and buy in a teji. They go and buy direct equity. It gives them a shock. They comes back and say electricity is bad. No, electricity is not bad. The way to use it is bad. If you're going to give them a proper dose, proper manner, with right kind of conduits and switch gears and insulation, I think it's not going to give them a shock. The last thing, for customers, everybody has bottles on their table. And I see lots of bottles which are completely empty. Why don't we go and sip every bottle, open every bottle, sip and just leave it there? What are we doing? We don't do that. I can see a lot of empty bottle on every table. We just open that bottle, finish it, and then go to the next bottle. We are monetizing. So we don't sip a bottle and just leave it in there. The same thing we do with our customers. We have 500 customers, we have 700 customers, we have 1,000, 2,000 customers. But it's like that we are just opening the bottle, sipping it and leaving it and then opening the next bottle. Because we have lots of customers. We have lots of customers. And I have heard it so many forums and so many times, and I think during the day we'll also, again, one more time we are going to hear it, that the cost of acquisition of my customer is very high. It takes lots of money to go and acquire a new customer. But how do you go and monetize that customer? And how can you go and monetize that customer? Is that ever possible? So it is possible till the time you're not going to take the full potential out of each and every customer. And if you're not going to do that, the cost of acquisition will remain very, very high. And the last thing is that when the times are changing, you need to shed, and we need to shed some of the old things, and cost of servicing we have to bring down. Because now customers are more comfortable with emails and SMSs. We need to complete the data, and we need to complete all the details of the customer so that we can communicate with them much more effectively in a cost-effective manner, which will bring our costs down. If we are not going to do that, we cannot take the full benefit of our customers in the manner which we want, because revenues are not going to rise in a big way. The only way we can go and increase our revenue is to have lots of customers, to get full use of each and every customer's full profile, make money out of it, and then there may be a day when we don't need to acquire our customers, because customers will come to us. I haven't seen a good medical practitioners advertising at any point of time for the clients or for the patients. Patients take their appointment a week or 10 days or a month in advance, and I've seen hundreds of those advertisements where practitioners are advertising for patients and patients are not turning up. So choice is ours. It's what we want to do. Have few patients, have few customers, make them so happy that they are sending customers. You never need to acquire customers for yourself. Your customers are appointing and acquiring customers for you. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you, Naveen. That was really inspiring. I'd request my colleague, Mr. Bhushan Seth, to please come on stage. A small token for Mr. Naveen Tiwari. Please join me in applauding Naveen. We wanted to just check the time. We'll break for coffee for 10 minutes before we resume back for a panel discussion, which is going to have Mr. Vipul Gupta from HSBC Mutual Fund, Mr. Uday Suri from BNP Paribas Mutual Fund, and Mr. Haribal, Mr. Sunil Haribal, who's a sales and training consultant. So, dear friends, we can, move over to the open area for coffee and resume in 10 minutes. We'll start sharp at 11:45. Thank you. After a power-packed session in the morning, where we learned from Pankaj about his personal story and from Naveen about some wonderful insights in how to look at your customer book and how to connect human to human. We are set for a panel discussion on customer acquisition strategies. The members on the panel are going to be Mr. Uday Suri. Mr. Suri is the head of sales and marketing at BNP Paribas Asset Management India. He has worked in the Indian financial markets for over 18 years. His experience ranges from managing treasury portfolios in equities and fixed income to working in investment banking and asset management. He holds an MBA from Clark University, USA. In his previous assignment, he was the director sales at Fidelity Fund Management India. Also, he was AVP and National Sales Head, Portfolio Management Services, DSP Merrill Lynch, Investment Managers, India, before which he was with Deutsche Bank AG. Our next panelist for the session would be Mr. Vipul Gupta. He is the Chief Sales and Distribution Officer at HSBC Asset Management Company. He is an engineer and a management graduate. He has 20 years of experience in diversified financial services, including branch banking, retail assets, wealth management, NRI business, and asset management. He is with the HSBC Group for 17 years. Prior to his current role, he headed HSBC's NRI business in the Middle East. Our third and final panelist for the session would be Mr. Sunil Haribal, who has 23 years experience as a sales professional in P&G India, 10 years experience in providing sales training and consulting support to organizations, a science graduate with a diploma in marketing management from NMIMS. His key clients include leading names in FMCG, automobiles, industrial, agribusiness, and retail companies. Friends, please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists on stage to kick off our discussion on customer acquisition strategies. The panel is going to be moderated by Mr. Ramesh Bhatt, our member. So, gentlemen, please join me in welcoming all of them.
Thank you for an excellent introduction, and it is really a fantastic topic, customer acquisition, which each and every IFAs to the heart. The topic which is selected is customer acquisition, and that too we have selected the lovely people, more than 15 years, 2 decade experience people are all here on the dais. I am very happy to moderate this. I assure you that I am going to get more and more information from these legends. So let me start with Mr. Uday, the first googly. Always, because we are in a cricket association, so better we start with a googly always. Mr. Uday, according to you, the role of IFA in expanding the mutual fund market through new customer acquisition, what is it?
Thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to being here and to respond to the first googly. I think we've heard Pankaj in the morning, we heard Naveen as well. I think the importance of the IFAs in the financial services business is very, very critical. And I think one can't emphasize more how important this is, because all of you, as you heard everyone, you are entrepreneurs. Some of us who are here on the panel work for someone else, but you work for yourselves and you work for your clients. And that is, I think, the most critical element in this, on this topic of working for your clients. And I think that is what was touched upon, the human-to-human element. I think one needs to probably just step back before getting into this subject. It's a very, very vast subject. Step back, take a look at ourselves, define what is your calling, what is it that you wish to eventually achieve, either with your business or in that respect with your clients, and then look at what is it that is possible, your strengths, the way you want to leverage the network that you have. We've spoken about alliances. I think those are very, very critical elements. I think for an IFA to get his client to trust him, it can only be through experience. We heard that, and that is only going to be the driver of everyone's business going forward. Nothing more needs to be said and done. And a satisfied customer, a customer who trusts you, is the one who's going to get you new customers. As I said, the trust element is critical in this relationship. And since you are entrepreneurs, you're not going anywhere. You are here for the long run. You're here through thick and thin. And that is also one of the important reasons why clients should and will trust you, provided that is demonstrated through action.
Thank you. And my next question to Mr. Vipul. Mr. Vipul is a person, he's a man who has increased from 20 customer to 1,500 customer for HSBC Wealth Management team in Middle East. I'd like to get how he has done that, one, and please share also the free financial health checkup part. You were talking about what is free health financial checkup, how the IFAs can utilize that. First, I would like to know the very, very successful thing which you have done it from 20 to 1,500. 20 to 1,500 is a big number. I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to this session. Customer acquisition, as we know, is a very important topic, and you know, the state of the economy or state of the situation is like this, which is something which I read on Next Advisor's website itself, that, you know, the bend of the road is not the end of the road unless you don't make a turn. So these are times which are changing. We'll need to make turns, we'll need to make bends. If we stand still, then we are doomed to fail. But these are the people who are the entrepreneurs who are flexible, are seeing the various inputs which are happening in the environment and adapting to them. So I think that's the real thing which one needs to keep in mind. Before getting into customer acquisition and some insight and some experience that I'll share with you, there are three important things that one needs to keep into mind. It needs to start with the customer, definitely, since it's customer acquisition. What is the customer segment we are talking about? That's the first important question. What is the segment? What is the area we are looking at, or what we are targeting? Second is, what is our proposition? What's the value add? What is the proposition I'm bringing to the table? And third, more importantly, how do we link these two? And how am I different to the rest so that the customer is attracted to me? So these are three basic, simple things. And how did we use that in practice? As Mr. Bhatt was saying, my last assignment was in the Middle East. Worked for HSBC, we set up the wealth management unit there. So very simply, what did we do? We wanted to do wealth management. So for doing wealth management, we needed to have customers. So what was the proposition, or what was the target segment? It was a segment of customers, global Indians, who needed both a connect to India, Indian products, as well as international products. So that was a simple proposition. Good to have on paper, but how do you implement it? So we said, we need to acquire customers for that. If I acquire 100 customers, maybe 10 of them will be suitable for our right target segment for wealth management. Others could be in simple accounts or deposits, not a problem. That's also very welcome. So what is the hook? How do I differentiate myself from the competition? So we said banks typically there, or customers typically there, want to send remittances back to India. What do they look for? Good exchange rates and cheap tariff for the remittance. Banks typically charge about 1,000 rupees per transfer, whereas the exchange houses used to charge about 60-75 rupees, good exchange rates as well. So we said our ultimate goal is wealth management for the global Indian. For that, we step back. We need to acquire new customers. We step back. For acquiring new customers, we need to give them a free remittance facility. So with that, the onboarding exercise, as we said, and Naveen talked about the McDonald's example, that, the Macaloo Tikki of 20 rupees. So ours was a similar onboarding exercise, a free remittance facility at a competitive exchange rate to India. So you open an account with us in the Middle East and in India, we give you a free remittance facility. So that was the Macaloo Tikki, which we did. And from 20 accounts a month, we came to a stage where we were acquiring close to 1,400, 1,500 accounts a month. From there, then we developed our wealth management proposition, which was very simple. Global Indian, if you want an Indian product or an international product, there'll be one RM or one person who will come and deliver that to you. So that in a nutshell was the insight that we got. And very similar to the morning example, have a key differentiator as a hook, acquire new customers, and then data mine that to sell what you really want.
Anyhow, that's a very good insight. As he rightly said, free remittance to India. Free remittance, most of the Indians, they send the money here. Same way, what I also follow, the same way is, right now I am following it for this portal, Next Advisor portal. What I do is, right now I am telling customer, if you are going to enroll yourself for that is my platform, for Aniram platform, we don't charge anything for 1 year. First 1 year, there is no charges now. You enter in. You enter before 2012 and entire year, the days to come, there is no going to be charges. So we are enrolling people one by one. Something free, everybody want to get. Even the mouse, you keep vada inside that, only the mouse will enter the trap. Otherwise, it will not come. It want everything in the world, everybody want free. That's a free is a fantastic idea. I appreciate that. And now we are going to hear from the man from...
I just want to add, while this was made free, we didn't pay money out of our pocket for that. It was a pooled account, we sent money, don't want to get into details. It was something we didn't sort of shell out money from our pocket. We just made it free. It was not at a loss to us. We just didn't charge that kind of money to a customer, and that was an attractive proposition.
Mousetrap. So now we are going to hear from Mr. Sunil, who's away. See, 2% from industry and 1% from FMCG background and a fantastic trainer. That too 2 decades, 23 years, 30 years experienced man who is here with us. I will definitely, I assure you that I'm going to take a lot of juice from him for you. Sir, how do people from other industry, forget about our mutual fund industry, from other industry acquire new customers? You were in P&G and now you are basically a trainer for across the industry. I'd like to hear from your views.
Yeah, sure. First of all, good morning and thank you for calling me here. Like it's already said that I'm not from this industry, so it will be from a different perspective. And I have handled FMCG, which is a channel driven, and also I have handled as a consultant many companies which